The Generals of the Yang Family, Chapter 34.
Imagine looking across a battlefield. The fog of war is, rolling in. And instead of just seeing enemy troops, you see this unreadable, swirling, magical formation.
Right.
And it's radiating this palpable, just toxic dread. And then you learn why. The foundation of this enemy array is actually fueled by the buried bodies of pregnant women,
Yeah, it's incredibly dark.
designed to generate this suffocating energy that literally crushes the will of anyone who even looks at it.
Yeah.
So today, we are taking you into the absolute darkest, most supernatural military standoff of ancient China.
And, I mean, it is the absolute definition of diagnostic muddy waters.
Right.
Because the lines between military strategy, psychological warfare, and just outright supernatural manipulation are entirely blurred in this landscape. Chapter 34 of the classic Generals of the Yang Family.
A masterclass in psychological posturing, high-stakes espionage, and the bizarre, almost unbelievable intersection of battlefield tactics and supernatural dark magic.
Yeah, it's wild. To set the scene for you, we are looking at this massive geopolitical standoff.
Right.
On one side, we had the northern Liao forces, and they're being led by the formidable Empress Zhao.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, you have the Song dynasty, led personally by Emperor Zhenzong.
Oh.
And they are facing off at a place called Nine Dragon Valley. And, I mean, the stakes could not possibly be higher.
I want you to imagine the pressure of the most high-stakes corporate negotiation you can possibly think of.
Oh, yeah.
But instead of companies, we are talking about entire empires. And instead of stock prices on the line, there are mystical battle formations designed to literally swallow armies whole.
It's a lot of pressure.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I want to start with the sheer bravado happening before a single sword is even swung.
Well, the posturing we see at the start is just phenomenal. And it's deeply, deeply rooted in the psychology of command.
Like how so?
So it begins in the Liao camp.
Yeah.
The advisors, Han Yanshu and Chen Yin, they go to Empress Xiao with a very specific, very aggressive strategy.
Okay.
They tell her that because the Song Emperor is personally leading his troops, she needs to do the exact same thing. Like, she needs to physically oversee the battle, put her own life on the line.
Which honestly makes total sense from a leadership perspective. I mean, if the opposing CEO is down on the factory floor rallying the workers, you can't be sitting in a climate-controlled ivory tower 1,000 miles away, right?
Exactly.
You have to match their energy, or your people just think you don't care.
It's a fundamental principle of morale.
Mm-hmm.
Han Yanshu, he understands that the Liao troops are facing the emperor of the Song dynasty himself. That carries a massive, massive psychological weight for a foot soldier.
Oh, I bet.
So if the Liao troops know their empress, who, by the way, is a legendary figure of authority and terror in her own right.
Right, she's not just a figurehead.
No, not at all. If they know she is right there in the mud with them, their combat effectiveness is going to skyrocket. She becomes the living embodiment of their cause.
Wow.
So Empress Xiao agrees. She leaves her capital, she leaves a regent in charge to run the government, and she marches her massive army directly to Nine Dragon Valley.
And this is where the visual theater of war, like the pure spectacle of intimidation, really kicks into high gear.
Oh, but optics are everything here.
The narrative paints such a vivid, almost cinematic picture. You have to visualize the deafening sound of these war drums beating, right? The armies are lined up in perfect, terrifying symmetry. And Emperor Zhenzong of the Song rides out. He's sitting high on his horse, positioned under a massive yellow banner, because yellow is the imperial color.
Right.
And he's looking out over the enemy formation, just trying to project absolute, unshakable authority. And then out rides Empress Xiao.
And she is not holding back on the pageantry whatsoever.
Not at all. She is on a purple steed, standing under a brown silk banner. It's this stark, really powerful visual contrast to the emperor. And she doesn't just, quietly observe him across the plain.
Now she starts shouting.
Yeah, she starts loudly taunting the emperor of the Song dynasty across the battlefield. She projects her voice across this massive valley, making absolutely sure everyone hears her.
And look at the specific wager she throws down. Because it's chilling in its absolute finality.
What does she say exactly?
She yells out to him, essentially framing him as the aggressor. She says, "You already have an empire, but you're greedy for our northern lands."
Wow, calling him out.
Yeah, fine. Let's settle this once and for all. If you can break this military array we've built, the lands are yours. But if you can't,
We split the entire world.
split the world.
That is bonkers.
She isn't talking about a skirmish over a border town or, negotiating a trade route. It is a winner-take-all, all-or-nothing existential gamble. She's literally threatening to permanently fracture the geopolitical reality of the known world.
And how does Emperor Zenzong react to this incredibly intimidating woman on a purple horse threatening to take half the globe?
He laughs.
He scoffs. He publicly, loudly laughs it off. He yells back, calling her lands barren and useless. He basically says, even if you gave me your land, I wouldn't want it. And as for your little military array, how hard could it possibly be to break?
It's just the ultimate display of imperial arrogance. He dismisses her doomsday weapon as a parlor trick.
And then he just casually turns his horse around and rides back to his camp. It's such a boss move on the surface.
It really is.
It totally reminds me of a tech CEO standing on a stage, right, publicly laughing off a rival company's revolutionary new product release, acting like it's a child's toy that doesn't even register as a threat.
Right.
But then the second he steps off stage and the doors to the boardroom close, he starts sprinting around in an absolute sheer panic.
It's exactly like that CEO, but with one major difference.
What's that?
If the CEO fails, a stock price drops, and some investors lose money. If the emperor fails, the entire physical world is split in half.
Yeah, slightly higher stakes.
Slightly. And the narrative brilliantly undercuts his public bravado the moment he is out of sight. As soon as Emperor Zenzong is back in his tent, away from the eyes of the enemy and the rank-and-file soldiers, his entire demeanor just collapses. The mask slips completely.
The whiplash is incredible. I mean, we go from how hard could it be to we are totally doomed in the span of a 5-minute horseback ride.
It's a complete 180.
He calls his generals together, including the famous Yang Lulang, the 6th son of the legendary Yang family. And he basically says, I have absolutely no idea what I just looked at out there. How are we going to survive this?
See, if we connect this to the bigger picture, this illustrates a universal law of leadership, something we could call the commander's paradox.
The commander's paradox.
Yeah. The moment you are facing an existential threat is the exact moment you are least allowed to show fear.
Oh, that makes sense.
The emperor's arrogance out on the battlefield isn't a character flaw, actually. It's a structural requirement of his job. In ancient warfare, admitting ignorance in front of your troops is fatal.
Because they just give up.
Exactly. If he had looked at that Liao array and shown even a flicker of doubt, the morale of the entire Song army would have shattered before a single arrow was even fired.
So his public arrogance was basically a tactical shield.
Precisely. He had to play the part of the omniscient, untouchable ruler. But privately, he is terrified because he is finally confronting the limits of conventional warfare.
Right.
He realizes that the formation Emperor Shao has laid out isn't just a standard grouping of spearmen and cavalry. It's not about flanking maneuvers or, controlling the high ground.
It's something else entirely.
It's something deeply complex, constantly shifting, and utterly alien to him and his veteran generals.
And this brings us to one of the most fascinating pivots in the story. The emperor is panicking, asking his war council for any ideas. And Yang Lulang, who is a brilliant tactical mind in his own right,
Oh, absolutely.
he steps forward with this incredibly cryptic piece of information. He says, my late father used to talk about a 3-volume military strategy text.
Right, but it's not the whole text that's the problem.
No, it's specifically the third part, the lower volume. Lulang says it's incredibly difficult to understand because it deals entirely with yin text, with demonic supernatural arts.
This is a crucial moment where the rules of engagement just fundamentally change. We shift from conventional military logistics like moving troops, securing supply lines, straight into the realm of the esoteric and the forbidden.
It gets weird fast.
Yeah. Lulang suspects that the bizarre, incomprehensible array the Liao have built isn't just a clever formation. He thinks it's an architecture based on this exact dark magic.
Wait, hold on. I need to push back on this for a second.
Sure.
I'm putting myself in the shoes of a military commander defending an empire here. If your dad possessed a book containing the ultimate unbeatable strategies of warfare, why on earth would he hide the most powerful volume from his own generals?
It's a good question.
Right. Like, why keep it a secret from his own son, who is now leading the army? That seems incredibly reckless. Isn't the whole point of military knowledge to ensure your troops are prepared for anything?
Well, that's the logical modern way to look at it. But it ignores the cultural mechanics of how magic actually operates in this worldview.
Okay, explain that.
This raises an important question. Who is actually meant to wield this kind of power? In this context, Demonic arts, or deep yin magic, isn't just a set of instructions you can memorize like a training manual.
It's not just a textbook.
No, it is volatile, highly dangerous knowledge.
So it's not just a book. It's more like handling radioactive material without a hazmat suit.
That is the exact mechanism. That's a great way to put it.
Wow.
The philosophy here suggests that this kind of knowledge requires a specific kind of spiritual fortitude or even destiny to handle safely.
So if you're not meant to read it, it hurts you.
Exactly. If you just hand out a manual on dark magic to every captain in your army, the potential for catastrophic misuse or spiritual corruption is immense. It would tear your own army apart from the inside.
Oh, man.
So the old commander didn't keep it secret out of selfishness. He kept it hidden to protect his own family and his troops from forces they simply weren't equipped to control.
That's fascinating.
It's forbidden knowledge because it defies the natural order, and defying the natural order always comes with a massive cost.
So it's a weapon of mass spiritual destruction. And Lu Lang drops another bombshell. He says, I don't understand it, but my mother might.
By the Yang?
His mother being the legendary Lady Yang, who was trained directly by the old commander. So Emperor Zhenzong, who is completely desperate at this point, decides he needs to get this woman to the front lines immediately.
Right away.
He secretly sends an envoy named Hu Yanxian to fetch her. And he does it in the dead of night.
Because the secrecy is paramount. The emperor issues an edict, but he absolutely does not broadcast it.
He can't let the enemy know he's looking for a magical cure.
Exactly. He sends Huinan Jian under the stars, just racing back to the capital to bring Lady Yang to the battlefield. Because if the Liao find out the Song are searching for a magical countermeasure, they might launch a preemptive strike.
And this secret mission ends up causing a massive ripple effect within the Yang family itself.
Oh, it causes so much drama.
It really does. The envoy arrives, reads the edict to Lady Yang, and she agrees to go. But she specifically orders that her grandson, the young warrior Yang Zongbao, is not to be told where she is going.
A terrible idea.
A completely terrible idea. She tells her daughter-in-law to lie to him and say she just went to the palace for a few days.
Which is the fastest way to guarantee a teenager is going to investigate.
Naturally. I mean, you tell a hot-headed young warrior not to look in the box, the first thing he does is pry it open with a crowbar.
Pretty much.
Zongbao goes hunting, comes back, finds his grandmother missing, and gets this incredibly flimsy excuse. He doesn't buy it for a second. He goes straight into the city, asks a guard at the north gate, and the guard immediately spills the beans.
Just immediate.
He's like, oh yeah, she left with the emperor's envoy to go to the military camp.
The absolute failure of operational security right there.
A complete breakdown of protocol. So Zongbao just hops on his horse and rides after them.
But he's far behind.
Yeah, he's asking for directions along the way, the sun is setting, and he's rushing. And because he's rushing in the fading light, he makes a critical, life-altering mistake. He takes a wrong turn.
A very wrong turn.
He wanders off the main road and finds himself completely lost in a desolate, terrifying wilderness called Honglei Mountain. It's pitch black, there are no people around, and the darkness is so thick he can't even see the path under his horse's hooves.
The atmosphere established here is incredibly oppressive.
Yeah.
I mean, you go from the grand, bustling military camps of emperors and empresses with their bright banners and war drums
Right, the spectacle.
to a single, isolated young man enveloped in total darkness. He's physically lost, yes, but he's also metaphorically stumbling out of the known world and into a realm that operates entirely outside of human logic.
The wilderness is like a border.
Exactly. The wilderness in Chinese mythology is often the boundary line between the mortal realm and the divine.
And here's where the narrative takes a massive left turn. Zonbao's physical detour turns into a full-blown supernatural intervention.
It gets so weird here.
He's panicking in the dark, and suddenly he sees a tiny pinpoint of light in the valley. He follows it, probably hoping for like a woodcutter's cabin or something, and instead finds this massive, imposing building that looks like an ancient temple. He knocks, the heavy wooden doors open, and he's led inside by these silent figures.
And waiting for him is not a humble monk or a lost traveler. It's a majestic woman surrounded by magnificent, awe-inspiring guards.
It's quite the scene.
The architecture and the presence of these figures immediately signal to Zongbao that he has stepped out of reality.
The interaction is wild. Zongbao kneels down, introduces himself, and explains how he got lost trying to follow his grandmother to the war camp. And this majestic woman just laughs.
She already knows.
She does. She says, your grandmother went to look at the enemy array, but what makes her think she can understand it? She already knows everything. She knows who he is. She knows about the war. She knows about the unreadable array.
And then she feeds him.
Yes. And she does something so specific and bizarre. She orders her servants to bring him food. But it's not a grand banquet. The details are hyper-specific. He is served exactly 7 red peaches and 5 meat buns.
The precision of that detail is deeply significant. In a mythic context, numbers and specific foods are never accidental.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. It's like stumbling into a deserted midnight diner in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, I like this analogy.
Right. You sit down, the waitress already knows your life story. She hands you a highly specific combo meal, like number 7 and number 5, and then she casually reaches under the counter and hands you the administrative password to the universe.
That's a great way to think about it. But let's break down the mechanism of why she feeds him first. Because eating food in a divine or underworld space is a classic mythological trope.
Like Persephone and the pomegranate seeds.
Exactly like Persephone. It binds you to that realm. But here, it's also about preparation. The peaches are a classic Taoist symbol of longevity and immortality, often associated with divine realms like the Kunlun Mountains.
Okay.
And the meat buns ground the meal in mortal sustenance. Zongbao is a mortal. He got lost, he got hungry, he needed physical sustenance before his body could handle the spiritual weight of what she was about to give him.
Oh, wow.
The universe is giving him the cheat codes, like you said, but it has to make sure his hardware doesn't fry when he downloads the data.
That makes perfect sense. You can't run next-gen software on a starving mortal body.
Right.
Because after he eats, she hands him a book. And not just any book, it's the exact lower volume of the military strategy text his father was so desperate to find.
A missing piece.
The missing manual on breaking in magic. And then she drops the real heavy revelation. She tells him, I have lived in this place for over 400 years. No one has ever come here. But your arrival today is a predestined affinity.
400 years. She is the heaven-supporting Holy Mother, a divine figure who has been sitting in the dark wilderness, waiting across centuries for this specific teenager to get lost in the woods.
It's mind-boggling. She was just waiting.
It touches on a foundational concept in Chinese philosophy and literature, Su Yuan, which translates roughly to predestined affinity or a karmic bond forged in a past life.
Su Yuan.
Yes. The narrative is making a very profound argument here about the nature of warfare in history. It's saying that ultimate strategic victory, the kind that decides the fate of empires and prevents the world from splitting in half, isn't just a matter of having the smartest generals or the best logistics or the bravest soldiers.
It requires something more.
It requires cosmic alignment.
So human effort is essentially useless against supernatural threats without divine permission.
Yes. And that is a terrifying thought for a general. Human intelligence can only take you so far against dark magic. Zongbao needed divine intervention because the problem had escalated beyond human capacity.
That is so humbling.
But what's brilliant about the writing is how seamlessly it blends this sheer mythological wonder with gritty, realistic logistics. He had to get lost. He had to be hungry.
It grounds the magic. It makes it feel earned in a weird way, even though it was destiny. And the next morning, the magic vanishes just as quickly as it appeared. Zongbao wakes up. The guards point him toward the main road. He rides out of the deep mountains, and suddenly he's back in the normal world. The sun is shining.
Back to reality.
He asks some local villagers where he just was, and they point to the mountain and say, that's Honglei Mountain. There's an old ruined temple up there dedicated to the heaven-supporting Holy Mother, but it's been abandoned for years. It's just an empty stone foundation.
He realizes he was interacting with a phantom space, a pocket dimension of divine strategy. The temple doesn't exist in the physical world anymore.
Wow.
And he walks away realizing that everything that just happened was a true miracle. He has the book, he reads it, he understands it, and he realizes he holds the literal key to saving the Song dynasty.
Armed with this literal cosmic knowledge, Zongbao finally arrives at the military camp at Nine Dragon Valley. And he is about to do what the Emperor, his battle-hardened father, and all the veteran generals completely failed to do.
He's going to diagnose the enemy's superweapon.
Yes.
But we have to remember, his arrival isn't exactly welcomed with open arms.
Oh, not at all.
He is a teenager crashing a high-command war council.
It is a disaster at first. His father, Yang Lulang, is absolutely furious. He sees his son walk into the war tent and basically says, "What are you doing here? This is an active war zone, not a playground."
Go home.
Right. You disobeyed orders. Get out before I have you whipped for insubordination. But Zongbao, riding high on this 400-year-old cosmic cheat code, just smiles. He's completely unbothered.
He's got the confidence of a god right now.
He does. He says, I can go home, no problem. But if I do, who's going to break that array for you?
The audacity of youth, backed by divine mandate. It's a massive subversion of filial piety and military hierarchy. The son is lecturing the father.
Lady Yang, his grandmother, intervenes. She's the pragmatist. She asks him if he's actually seen the array. And Zongbao confidently says, I understand it perfectly. Let me look at it.
So they call his bluff.
They do. They send him up to the massive wooden viewing platform overlooking the valley with some veteran generals, Yu Sheng and Meng Lin.
Okay.
Zongbao looks out over this terrifying, swirling mass of Liao troops that has paralyzed the emperor with fear, and he turns to the veterans and says, this array is actually built really well. It's just a shame it's incomplete. It's actually quite easy to break.
You can imagine the veteran's jaws just hitting the floor.
Yeah.
The emperor was terrified, the greatest generals in the empire were stumped, and this kid calls it easy.
And he doesn't just boast, he receipts it. He breaks down the specifics of the 72-station Heavenly Gate array, and the level of detail the text provides here is absolutely staggering.
It's so intricate.
Zongbao points down at the formation and says, look at the center. That's the Jade Emperor Pavilion. It's missing exactly 49 heavenly lanterns. Now look at the Blue Dragon array on the left flank. It's supposed to have the 9-bend Yellow River water flowing through it to activate it, but it doesn't.
Right.
Over at the White Tiger array on the right, they forgot 2 Tiger Eye golden gongs and 2 Tiger Ear yellow flags. And the Black Tortoise array in the rear is missing 2 Pearl Sun Moon black flags.
We really need to slow down and unpack the Taoist cosmology operating here, because it is the entire engine of the battle. Zongbao isn't just looking at troops standing in a field.
What is he looking at then?
He's reading the battlefield as a massive metaphysical circuit board. The Heavenly Gate array is structured around the Bagua, the trigrams, and the Wuxing, the 5 elements theory.
Okay, let's ELI 5 this for a second. How do the 5 elements work in a military formation, like literally?
Sure. So in ancient Chinese philosophy, everything is categorized into 5 elements. Wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And they interact in very specific ways.
Okay.
There's a generative cycle. So water feeds wood, wood fuels fire, fire creates earth, like ash, earth bears metal, metal clicks water.
That makes sense. They build on each other.
Yes, and then there is a destructive cycle. Water extinguishes fire, fire melts metal, metal chops wood, wood parts earth, earth absorbs water.
So it's an incredibly complex game of rock, paper, scissors.
Yes, but mapped onto geography and military units, the blue dragon represents the east and the element of wood. The white tiger represents the west and the element of metal. The black tortoise is the north and water. The Jade Emperor is the divine center representing Earth.
Okay, so when he points out the missing parts.
When Zongbao says the Blue Dragon array is missing the Yellow River water, he means it literally lacks the elemental fuel water needed to generate the wood energy of the East. The circuit is broken. The power isn't flowing.
So he's looking for disconnected wires on this magical circuit board.
Exactly.
But then he points to a specific section, and the tone of the entire narrative completely shifts from astrological theory to absolute horror.
Yeah, this part is rough.
He points to the right side, under the black flags. He says this area is dark, devoid of sunlight, and it's designed to literally swallow the enemy. And the way it generates this massive toxic yin magic is, well, it's gruesome. Zongbao reveals that the Liao have buried the bodies of pregnant women under the array to fuel it.
It's a deeply disturbing detail, and it fundamentally changes the nature of the conflict. We move from strategic maneuvering into profound desecration.
I mean, when I read that in the source text, I was genuinely shocked. We've been talking about flags and gongs and elements, and suddenly we're talking about the desecration of pregnant women to harvest their tragic energy.
It's a huge escalation.
The sheer psychological dread that would instill in an opposing army, it's unimaginable. It's psychological warfare of the darkest kind.
To understand the mechanics of why this is so terrifying, we have to look at what yin energy is in this belief system.
Let's do that, because I think people misunderstand yin and yang.
Right, yin is not inherently evil. It's simply associated with darkness, the earth, the moon, stillness, and the feminine. Yang is light, heaven, the sun, movement, and the masculine.
They need each other.
Exactly, they're supposed to be in perfect balance. But when yin energy is corrupted or concentrated, or tied to profound tragedy, like the violent death of a mother and an unborn child, it becomes a highly volatile, weaponized force.
It turns toxic.
It creates a literal miasma of despair. It's a heavy, suffocating energy that disrupts the natural flow of life.
So it's not just a spooky ghost story to scare the troops. They're actually weaponizing trauma.
Exactly. The Liao aren't just using the physical terrain. They are weaponizing death itself to create a psychological gravity well. This is why the veteran generals couldn't look at it without feeling dread.
It wasn't just fear of losing a fight.
No, they weren't just intimidated by the number of soldiers. They were physically feeling the psychic weight of that dark magic pressing against them.
But Zhang Bao isn't intimidated because he has the book, he has the countermeasure, he understands the code.
He sees through it.
He explains to his father that the Liao built this array on days of mutually overcoming elements. They used the stems and branches of the astrological calendar to basically bake destruction into the foundation.
Let's pause on stems and branches for a second.
Yeah, what does that mean?
In ancient Chinese timekeeping, the sexagenary cycle, days aren't just numbers on a calendar. They have elemental properties.
Oh, interesting.
The Liao deliberately started building this array on a day where the elements were destroying each other in that destructive cycle we talked about, like metal chopping wood. They intentionally channeled chaotic, destructive cosmic energy into the physical construction of their camp.
That is so deeply calculated.
It is. What's fascinating here is how the text treats time and cosmic alignment as literal, weaponized variables on the battlefield.
So Zhang Bao's master plan is simple but brilliant. He says, we will attack them on a day of mutually generating elements. He looks at the calendar and finds a day where water nourishes wood, where wood feeds fire. They will use the cosmic calendar to heal the dark magic the Liao have created.
He is essentially planning an astrological surgical strike.
I love that.
You don't just attack when you have the high ground or the wind at your back. You attack when the universe itself is structurally aligned in your favor. It's a fascinating concept of temporal warfare. Time as a weapon.
It's brilliant. The Emperor is thrilled, Lu Lang is incredibly relieved, and they pick the date. It feels like the climax of a movie where the heroes have finally figured out the Death Star's weakness, they've mapped the Trent's one, and they're just waiting for the clock to strike zero.
I enjoy.
This is where human treachery completely undoes divine intervention.
The pivot from cosmic triumph to devastating human failure here is incredibly swift, and it highlights a major theme of the story.
Just as they finalize the plan, the narrative reveals that hidden in the Song camp is a traitor, a high-ranking official named Wang Qin. He is secretly on the Liao payroll.
Of course he is.
He overhears the entire war council, the breakdown of the array's flaws, the missing lanterns, the water, the flags, the dates, and in the dead of night, he sends a secret messenger to leak this massive intel straight back to the Liao camp.
This is a devastating blow. And philosophically, it shows that no matter how powerful your divine magic is, no matter if you have a 400-year-old book from a goddess, a single human weakness, greed, treachery can collapse the entire structure. The human element is always the weak link.
The Liao commander Han Yanshu gets the secret message and panics. He runs straight to Empress Xiao, and she immediately summons the architect of the array, a man known as Strategist Lu.
And Strategist Lu's reaction is just pure, unadulterated arrogance.
Whoa, he doesn't panic at all.
He doesn't panic. He actually feels validated. He thinks to himself, someone over there actually understands my genius.
Like a proud artist.
Exactly. And then he boasts to the Empress, don't worry, I'll just add the missing pieces. Once I complain it, not even the mythical Yellow Emperor himself could break this array.
Strategist Lu is playing the classic role of the mad scientist here. He takes the fatal flaw and uses it to perfect his doomsday machine. He doesn't see the song's discovery as a threat. He sees it as a peer review of his magical engineering.
Peer review, that's exactly it.
And he executes the patch immediately. He goes out and adds the 49 red lanterns to the Jade Emperor Pavilion. He diverts the actual Yellow River into the Blue Dragon array. He sets up the yellow flags and the golden gongs. He raises the sun and moon flags.
He completes it.
The array is now complete. The circuit board is fully connected. It is a fully operational, magically sealed fortress of death.
And the consequences for the Song leaders are immediate and catastrophic.
The next day, the Song army is ready to advance. They think they have the upper hand. Zhang Bao takes the generals back up to the viewing platform to survey the field one last time, just to confirm the targets. He looks out, expecting to see the gaps he planned to exploit.
But they aren't there.
Instead, he sees the fully perfected, unbroken heavenly gate array The energy has shifted, and his reaction is intense. The narrative says he cries out in bitterness and literally falls right off the viewing platform.
He physically collapses. His body gives out.
And it gets worse. They carry him back to the tent, wake him up, and he tells his father, Lu Leng, someone leaked the secret, they fixed it, the elemental flaws are gone. Unless a true immortal descends from heaven, we cannot break it.
Doom.
Total doom. And upon hearing this absolute doom, Yang Lu Leng, the battle-hardened, legendary general who has spent his entire life fighting wars, completely faints. He passes out cold, becomes comatose, and won't wake up. His mother is crying, the generals are in a panic. The command tent devolves into absolute chaos.
The entire command structure of the Song army is wiped out in an instant, without a single sword being drawn or an arrow being fired.
Now, wait a minute. I have to put myself in the shoes of a skeptical reader here. I know we're dealing with magic and heightened reality, but come on. These are hardened military veterans. Zhang Bao just received a book from a 400-year-old goddess. Lu Leng has fought in countless brutal campaigns.
Right.
How can they literally pass out just from looking at an enemy formation or hearing bad news? Isn't this just a bit of melodramatic flair from the author to raise the stakes?
Well, it absolutely reads like melodrama to a modern reader. We are used to generals gritting their teeth and fighting on. But we have to look at the mechanics of the yin energy we discussed earlier.
The toxic miasma stuff.
Right. This isn't just a panic attack. It's not a swoon from emotional shock. It is a physiological collapse caused by the overwhelming concentrated dark magic of the perfected array.
So it's a physical assault, not just a mental one.
Exactly. Think of the array as a nuclear reactor. When it was incomplete, it was leaking radiation, but it was manageable. The energy was dissipating.
Like open vents.
Yes. But once strategist Lu sealed the circuit with those missing flags and lanterns, the concentration of that horrific yin magic, fueled by the bodies of those pregnant women, became a dense physical force. It is radiating a toxic psychic shockwave.
Wow.
When Zhang Bao realized the trap was closed, the despair wasn't just in his mind. The dark energy literally struck him down. The strategic defeat is felt on a cellular level.
Wow. So they aren't just scared, they are magically poisoned.
Yes. The text even explicitly calls it yin energy damage. It's a specific mystical ailment. The dark magic has invaded their bodies and shut down their life force.
Because the dark magic has physically incapacitated the entire command structure, battlefield tactics are suddenly completely useless. You can't flank an enemy, you can't manage supply lines, and you can't inspire troops if your top general is in a mystical coma.
You're paralyzed.
So the emperor is forced to pivot from military strategy to desperate medical espionage, and this leads to the final and perhaps most absurdly brilliant.
It really is wild.
Emperor Zhenzong does the only thing he can think of. He posts a massive, desperate public bounty on the camp gates, asking for anyone, anywhere who can cure General Lu Leng.
This shifts the narrative from a clash of armies to an incredibly intimate, high-stakes medical heist.
A Taoist priest arrives at the camp. He calls himself Zhong Han, and he claims he's from Penglai. Now, for those who don't know, Penglai is basically the mythical island of the immortals in Chinese folklore. It's where the gods live.
It's a big deal.
So having a guy from Penglai show up is like having an angel walk into your field hospital. The emperor is thrilled. He asks Zhong Han what he needs. Does he need rare herbs, acupuncture needles, ginseng?
What does he say?
The Taoist says, no, his yin energy damage is far too severe for normal medicine. I only need 2 ingredients to cure him. But these ingredients, they are impossible.
They are the ultimate symbolic cure, relying entirely on the logic of sympathetic magic.
The Taoist says, I need the beard from under the chin of the dragon father, and I need the hair from the head of the dragon mother. And the emperor, who is just a mortal ruler trying to manage a supernatural crisis, says, okay, where do I buy those? Are those rare plants?
And the Taoist replies, the dragon father is you, your majesty. I need your beard.
Which is an incredibly intimate, almost wildly disrespectful request to make of an emperor.
Extremely disrespectful. The body of the emperor is sacred. You don't just cut pieces off it. But Zhenzong is desperate. His empire's on the line, so he's willing to do it.
Right, getting the emperor's beard is easy enough. He's right there in the tent. But the second ingredient, the Taoist says, the dragon mother is Empress Shao of the northern Liao. I need the hair from the head of your mortal enemy, the woman currently sitting in a magic fortress trying to destroy us.
This is a stunning requirement, and we need to explain why this works.
Please do.
This is sympathetic magic. It's the idea that a person's biological essence carries their spiritual and authoritative power. The deep yin damage to Lu Leng was caused by the Liao Empress's army. To cure it, You need the literal biological essence of the Empress herself, the root source of the yin attack. And that has to be balanced by the yang essence of the Song Emperor.
By combining their hair and beard.
The Taoist is creating an alchemical cure that harmonizes the ultimate yin and yang of the conflict.
That is so deeply metaphorical. But practically speaking, how do you execute this? How do you get a strand of hair from the head of an empress who is surrounded by hundreds of thousands of troops, protected by elite guards, sitting in the middle of an impenetrable magic fortress?
It's literally impossible.
The emperor is ready to offer piles of gold for a substitute ingredient, but the Taoist is firm. No hair, no cure.
And this is where the grand, sweeping cosmic narrative violently crashes into a very secret, very localized family drama.
Lady Yang steps up again. She is the MVP of this story. She realizes they can't fight their way in. They need an inside man. And she reveals a family secret that blows the whole geopolitical situation wide open.
It's the craziest twist.
She tells the generals, remember my fourth son, the one everyone thought died in a battle years ago. Well, he didn't die. He changed his name to Mu Yu. He is alive, and he is secretly married to the Liao Empress's daughter. He is the Liao Empress's son-in-law.
The irony is just staggering. The greatest threat to the Song dynasty, this apocalyptic array threatening to split the world, is being led by a woman whose daughter is married to a member of the Song's greatest, most loyal military family.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring this back to our earlier corporate analogy. It's like your company is being subjected to a brutal, hostile takeover by a ruthless rival CEO.
Right.
They've locked you out of the system. The only way to stop the takeover, regain administrative access, and save your company is to get the physical thumbprint of that rival CEO.
Which you can't get.
Exactly. And just as you're giving up hope, your grandmother casually mentions that your presumed dead brother is actually alive, living under an alias, and is married to the rival CEO's daughter, and he goes over to their house for Thanksgiving.
It's the ultimate inside job. It takes a conflict involving hundreds of thousands of troops, mystical arrays fueled by the dead, and 400-year-old deities, and funnels all of that massive pressure down to a single, highly domestic question.
Can a secret son-in-law sneak into his terrifying mother-in-law's bedroom and steal a strand of hair while she sleeps?
Exactly.
So Lady Yang taps Meng Liang, the most cunning and stealthy general they have. His mission is to infiltrate the enemy camp, navigate this massive magic fortress, find the secret brother Mu Yi, and execute this impossible biological heist.
And that is exactly where this section of the source text leaves us hanging on the edge of our seats.